Love, light, and blessings. This is Shamanic Awak Priestess here. Welcome to today's video to all my new and existing subscribers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if it's your first time watching, welcome to my channel. Today's video, I want to talk about a controversial topic. You guys seem to love when I talk about controversial topics. So today we're going to be talking about, okay, overconsumption and spirituality. Okay, overconsumption and spirituality. Disclaimer, this video is not about any specific channel, content creator, or person. So please do not send hate out to anybody. This video is a personal video of mine. And I've noticed that this issue has affected people. People have made many videos in TarotTube and the spiritual community about over purchasing, the overconsumption, materialism in the spiritual community. And I just wanted to make a video talking about my personal journey with it and my thoughts. Okay, I will have timestamps because I'm going to be talking about different aspects of this, so you can just quickly go to um, the part of the video that more aligns with what you want to hear, or that you kind of want to just skip the other stuff and get right to the different topics that I'm going to be talking about as far as overconsumption and spirituality. Okay, before we get started on today's video, I would like to quickly talk about I am a full-time tarot reader, so professional reader, and I also am a professional spellcaster, and I do offer mentorship as well. So if you're interested in mentorships in any of the traditions that I follow, Espiritismo, Hoodoo, Santeria, and Haitian Voodoo, or witchcraft itself, please hit the link. In every one of my videos, I have the link to my website, shamanic@workpriestess.com. And if you have any business inquiries, shamanic@workpriestess@gmail.com. Also, if you want to support my channel, don't forget to hit the bell. It will notify you when I make a new upload. And also, if you're not subscribed, 40% of you aren't, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. And also, if you want to support my channel, another way you can do that, okay, is joining my memberships, where you will get exclusive content. Once a day, I do post your daily card readings. I also post monthly readings, so in-depth like tarot, oracle readings, for the third level members, bi-weekly, so you get two readings instead of just one. And also you have videos that only my members are able to watch, and a lot of my teaching series that has to do with Haitian voodoo, Santeria, hoodoo, loas, Odisha topics, topics that are like controversial, and certain things that I feel more comfortable talking about behind a paywall, because it is a safe space. For example, my Healing the Mother Womb series, where we have honest talks about the traumas of that our parents may have done to us, may be doing to our own children, and just so many other things. So yeah, so take a look at that and see if that's something you'll be interested in. But now getting back to the topic of this video, which is the overconsumption and spirituality. So basically, okay, overconsumption is something that, as much as I love that we have Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, we have YouTube, and so even Facebook, right? We have so many different social platforms where, spirituality, witchcraft, reading tarot, it's almost becoming mainstream. You see it in popular cultures and movies. And I think those things are great. But with every progress that we make, there's always that double-edged sword. And so it's starting to become where spirituality is getting gentrified. There's a lot of cultural appropriation, a lot of misinformation that people find on Wiki, or they find on Google, that, you have people writing books. Sometimes it's not even real people. Sometimes it's people that, um, companies that are pretending to be people, right? And they're more like AI books, and they're stealing works from other people, and things like that. And if you literally read the book, you find out that Mama Spiritual Lady doesn't really exist. She's an AI, and her work is stolen pictures. I've even reviewed books like that on my membership, because I do book reviews on my memberships. Okay, so basically that's the downside to things, right? Gentrification, cultural appropriation, misappropriation, people really trying to connect with their culture, or they feel like they have a calling, but we are bombarded with so much information, and a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, is misinformation. People that never grew up in the culture, people that are not initiated, you know what I mean? You'll have people that want to get mentorship just so they can make money. Once somebody mentors them, they have a website, they're lying about being initiated into stuff, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of unethical practices. You have practitioners that are literally harassing people on social media. Oh, I was drawn to you because spirit is telling me that I need to help you and all that stuff, right? So you have that part of overconsumption. Just everybody has an Etsy shop, everybody has a website, everybody. They don't even know how to read tarot. They just got a deck and they're giving people bad readings and literally messing up people's lives, right? Because they're not taking it seriously. It's literally a cash grab. You have so many people selling crystals that some of them have been proven to have child labors in a lot of other countries, where they're having children go into mines to dig up these crystals that are putting people's life in danger. You have fast fashion now that has spiritual, clothing, which is cute, but a lot of them are from sweatshops and things like that. So, it's just become a thing where people are being harmed. You have indigenous people being driven out of their lands because of the overconsumption of spiritual items. You have herbs now like dragon's blood, palo santo, and a lot of things that they're not, the people that are selling these things, one, they're not even able to tell you where they got these things from. They're not being ethically sourced, and they're literally, the Adam and Eve herbs, like they're literally so rare to find that a lot of people are selling counterfeit items pretending to be that. One of them is the Rose of Jericho. There's such a demand for the Rose of Jericho that there are people selling things that are not even from the actual place that they originate from, and they're not the real plant. So there's just a lot of that, a lot of fake lodestones being sold and everything else. So we have to admit that is a problem. There is a problem. It's a big problem that's affecting a lot of us, guys. It's a problem, okay? When your spirituality literally becomes all about material things and stops being about actually connecting to your deities and earth and all these things, when your spirituality actually starts to make environmental impacts, then we must admit it's a problem, okay? Now, on a personal level, okay, this became a problem for me. It started to become a matter of, when I found out that there were actual spiritual people like myself that were practicing things. It was such a very exciting time. The first spiritualist I ever discovered was Carmen A. Scheid. I don't even know if they make videos anymore. And it was all about chakra, something that I was like, what is that? And as one of my really close friends, she's of Indian descent, she explained to me what it was, and we did things together. This person also used to make content a lot about like angel meditations, and their meditations were so good. I really love their meditations. I remember creating my own angel altar and all the wonderful things. After I discovered them, I discovered like the pagan community. And I did for a very little while practice Wicca. It just didn't resonate with me. But I did practice that, inspired what I was seeing on social media and things like that. When I was watching that type of content, I wasn't over consuming. I wasn't, because it was a lot of things that you could find in your everyday life, so on and so forth. Later on, I become a professional reader after I was seeking, spiritual guidance on personal things. I found the online site that did readings, because I did one in-person reading, and then I found out you can get readings in the comfort of your own home. Then the person who used to read me was like, why don't you work on this site, because I could tell you're psychic yourself, right? And so I did the interview. Long story short, I started working for an online psychic hotline. I'm not going to advertise who they are. I did end up leaving after 3 years of working there full time. Long story short, okay, I was literally, when I was working the hotlines, okay, I had one tarot deck and maybe a handful of oracle decks that I would do readings with. That was it. Maybe 4 or 5 decks. That was my whole collection, guys. That's about it. Then later on, I got a secondary tarot deck. That's it, guys. Okay. It went from that to I then, after working, I think about maybe the first 2 years of working on the psychic hotline, I discovered something called tarot tube, which was outside of the witchy community. And at first, it was great. Again, a disclaimer: this is nothing against tarot tube. This is just my personal experience. I'm holding myself accountable. Okay. I started seeing, like, people talking down on the Rider Waite Smith, which is what I eventually evolved to working with this deck. It just, from the first day I had it in my hands, I connected with it, and it's the deck that I love reading. I may have different variations of it, but the Rider Waite Smith deck is my soul deck. Okay. Long story short, or long story longer, I started to notice this trend that a lot of the tarot tube, stuff, which a lot of people have kind of stopped doing now, but there was a trend that was always about, it went from talking about spiritual stuff, and I felt like-minded people that other, read tarot, especially more on the reading tarot for others professionally. That's kind of more the content I was watching. It became from that to now a lot of the videos are sponsored. Again, get your coin, get your bag. Um, and it became a lot of deck unboxing, and a lot of people were like, I don't really like Rider Waite Smith, and kind of tearing it down, that it made me feel like, is there something wrong? Even though my clients loved me, I was one of the top readers on that site. Okay. I was one of the top earners on there. You know what I'm saying? I was always making my money. It literally took me out of poverty. Like, I was financially successful in working on the hotline. But it made me feel bad because they would be like, oh, I don't do predictive readings, I don't do this, reading with the Rider Waite Smith, blah 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 blah. And they would have like these very complicated decks that I just wouldn't get. And the Deviant Moon, and a lot of the Llewellyn decks that just, I would buy them and it wouldn't do anything for me. And just a lot of decks like that. I don't remember their names, to be honest. But yeah, I think one of them is the Marielle. Decks that just I never connected to. I'm gonna be real honest with you. A lot of the popular decks just didn't do anything for me. I would purchase some of these decks, and I just wouldn't feel anything. I would try to make content that was tarot related. I would try to do unboxings, but I just never was good at it because it just wasn't a passion. I was trying so hard to be like the bigger content creators in that community. I lost my sense of self. I became consumed by having so many decks, guys, that I've never admitted this to you guys. My collection at one time got so bad that I couldn't fit it in my 3 bedroom apartment that I had with my kids, the one that I lived in before this one. I literally moved into that apartment because the rent was lower, and I was trying to save up for a house, right? So it was limited space, 4 kids, 4 kids, a small 3 bedroom, you know what I mean? It was a small apartment. It wasn't a house. It wasn't a 3-floor house. It was you know what I'm saying? It was a small apartment. um the closet became so full of decks, and I'm gonna be honest, 90% of these decks were brand new because they weren't even used. It got to the point where I wasn't even opening the boxes anymore. Okay. And I literally had to rent a storage facility because my crystal collection slash my tarot and oracle collection got so big that I couldn't even fit it in my house. I was literally paying to put my tools in a storage facility. That was like at the worst of my addictive impulsive buying. Again, I'm not blaming anybody else. I am taking responsibility on my own. But when I saw that collection get so out of hand, I had to admit that I had a problem. I had a problem. Okay. And admitting to that problem helped me to admit that I had other addictive impulsive behaviors. Okay. So this is the story that I want. I had to ask myself, why was I so obsessed with that FOMO, that feeling of missing out, right? Every time something new would come out, I would literally, my kids are like, Mom, seriously? Like, I would literally sit here, oh my God, such and such is uploading. I want to be the first person to watch this unboxing and all these things. But I wasn't realizing that this was taking an actual mental toll on me, right? It became more about getting that new shiny thing. And once I would get it, I'll be excited. But then when I would use the deck, I always went back to Rider Waite Smith. I always went back to Wheel of the Year. I always went back to my comfort decks. I always went back to the same Oracle decks that I've been reading with. Psychic Oracle has always been in my collection. The Trip and Wait has always been in my, well, not always, but for a long time. But, the Psychic Tarot, the Rider Waite Smith, those were the decks I always went back to. I kept trying to find this thing called a soul deck that never happened. I never found a soul deck in the sense of the way people were describing it. I didn't never found it because it was always there. The psychic oracle was always there. The Rider Waite Smith was always there. I kept feeling inadequate because I kept trying to keep up with the Joneses, if you will. When I would see videos of these beautiful, opulent, very expensive decks with the beautiful showcasing and the lighting, I got consumed by the aesthetics because I have to admit that sometimes I can become an addictive person, you know? And I feel like I lost a sense of why I was making a channel, why I got into spirituality in the first place. You know what I mean? I love helping people, right? Your clients don't care if you have the latest deck, if your deck costs $200. You know what your clients care about? If your readings are accurate. Your clients don't care about if you have the most expensive spiritual tools to perform their rituals. Your clients care about you getting the results for them. And you know how you get those results? By having a relationship with your spirits, by having a connection to universe, by elevating yourself, by doing the spiritual work that needs to be done in order for you to be an efficient spiritualist. I had to admit that this practice of overconsumption in my spiritual practice was taking a financial hit. When I started to add up all these decks that I was purchasing, I could have put that into my savings. I could have invested in something else. I could have invested in my actual business. So I had to start being honest about my financial consumption when it came to buying these spiritual tools. There are other areas that I could have been investing that money that could have actually grown my business and brought more traffic and brought more money. So when we are over consuming, it does take a financial hit, whether you are practicing personally or not. And it also takes away, to be honest, from an intimate connection with that soul deck. A deck that no matter what always reads for you so well that you have this undescribable connection to, right? But when we get lost and we put those decks that actually speak to us and we keep trying to keep up with everybody else and what everybody else has, and I need to buy this, I need to do this, we lose that connection, right? And then it's so disappointing when you unbox something and you find out it's not even all that great. It's such a sad feeling, right? And then you're like, damn, I should have never spent. Also, overconsumption, it takes a financial hit because when people that create decks see that people are willing to pay these very skyrocketed prices, have you noticed how even US games, Llewellyn, and a lot of other mainstream decks, that are made by companies have raised, like the prices have risen, how much indie decks now cost hundreds upon hundreds of dollars. I'm not telling you what to charge for your stuff, but what I'm saying is, these prices of these things have skyrocketed because there's such a huge demand, right? They're seeing that people are willing to do that. So they create this feeling of, I'm making a limited edition, da 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 da, and people go into panic mode and they start buying these decks. And yes, the cost of making things has gone up, but sometimes with some of these creators, it's really more, let's be honest, it's capitalism at its finest, okay? So it has driven up the cost of things as well. And that does take a financial hit on people. So let's be honest about that as well. I've heard people going into live chat saying, I didn't pay my rent, or I didn't pay my light bill, I didn't do the repairs in my house, I have a roof that I need to fix because I have to get my debt going, I have to, my husband or my spouse is mad at me, I'm in the midst of a separation. You know what I'm saying? This overconsumption has taken such a financial hit. It's actually affecting, to some degree, I've heard people admit, their family dynamics. Okay, thank goodness I never got to that point. For me, I always pay my bills. But yes, that addictive behavior can get that bad. So what I ended up doing, guys, was once I realized I had a problem, Once I realized the financial hit, the emotional hit this was taking on me, I decided to do changes so that I could stop this behavior. So if I'm looking on the side, it's because I'm reading my notes. I want to make sure I stay on topic. One of the things that I did, okay, was asking myself an honest question. Do I need this to enhance my services for my clients? Or is it that I just want it because it's a popular trend and I'm afraid, right? So I have FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, right? Is this more of a FOMO situation? And the way that I would tackle that answer would be, I like to buy a lot of my decks, I'm not gonna lie, from Amazon. So I would put it on my save for later list on Amazon Prime. And I would give it time after the fad died out or whatever. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I didn't want the deck anymore. I started allowing my intuition to tell me if the deck was something that was going to enhance my practice. What I mean by that is a lot of my communication with my spirit guides comes through dreams, or like they directly talk to me in my mind's eye, and they're like, hey, like for example, the spirits wanted me to work with Lenormand. I had a dream that my guide was interpreting all the 36 meanings of the cards. When it was time for me to move into Rider Waite Smith and move away from the psychic oracle, I had a dream about Rider Waite Smith. And because I listened to my intuition with those decks, right? It became something that once I got the deck out of the box, I connected instantly with it. The Hanson Roberts is another deck that at the time, which I don't really work with as much anymore, but at the time called to me so deeply that I had a dream about it, never seeing this deck. And then going into Amazon, searching certain words or things that popped out, and then I found that deck, and then I watched unboxings of that. So you can use unboxings. And that's when I watch unboxings. When I feel like I'm called to work with something, I'll watch an unboxing, right? To see what that deck looks like. It makes me excited. It makes me, oh my goodness, I ordered. I can't wait till I get it in the mail. But I had to limit the amount of unboxings that I watch for my own mental health, because I don't have the willpower to just see something and not want to get it. And that's okay to admit that for myself. Okay. So again, this is not against anybody who makes that content. Just for me personally, I can't overwatch that type of content. Just like I love to watch things on social issues. I do talk about it on my channel, but I can't talk about or watch things about social issues all the time, because sometimes that can also take a mental toll. So it's all about, for me, balance, right? Balance. So that was another way that I dealt with it. I reduced the amount of times I watched that type of content, but I could still watch other tarot related contexts, like content that deals with other things, like how you use the tools. This is my collection. This is how I read tarot, stories about me being a professional reader, or whatever else they want to talk about that deals more with the spiritual end of things. I love that type of content. Okay. Um, I also, when because I had to realize that maybe I was contributing to overconsumption for other people as far as my content is involved, I started downloading less haul videos. And I always say haul videos with intentions, you know. And what I mean by that is I buy a lot more things than I show on my channel, but when I feel like it could benefit my audience, I would try to show the things that I buy and then explain how I use them, because maybe somebody who's newer into spirituality can watch this and be like, "Oh, that's how I can incorporate those Dollar Tree candles into my practice," or "That's how they use those spiritual colognes. Oh, that's how I can use this crystal." So if I feel like it has a purpose, I will share it. For example, I've done honest reviews, which I'm going to bring back, of decks I've already been using. And because a lot of people do unboxings, which you get like the first impressions, but I'm more interested, in my personal opinion, and I want to see more of that content, when people give an honest review of a deck you've already been using and why you like it. Because I feel like that can also help somebody with realizing if they want to make a purchase or not, because seeing more practitioners saying, hey, this deck is really great, like this is what it looks like, this is how I've used it, this is how it's read for me, even though that's that's subjective, right? It's opinion based. it still gives somebody an idea of the card stock, what the pictures look like, how maybe they can incorporate that deck into their practice, and things like that. So that's another way that I've kind of tried to not contribute to overconsumption while I'm making content and stuff like that, right? And then other ways that I've combated it is kind of doing shadow work, journaling, having this type of open conversations about these topics in my real life and in social media. Okay, and there's many benefits when you admit you have a problem and you take steps to help yourself with that. Like I said, realizing that I had a addictive behavior towards buying a lot of tarot decks and crystals and stuff like that helped me to realize I also had an eating disorder, which I am going to be talking more about in this channel because it's something that's been highly requested. I will share how I've lost weight, how I plan to maintain it. So you guys will be along my journey to my health journey. It's more of a health journey than a weight loss journey, but you know what I mean. But knowing, like, understanding that I had that addictive behavior helped me for bigger issues in my life that was causing, was a detriment to my physical health, which was my ED and getting the help that I needed for that. So it helped me to put more of my life in balance. And by doing that, I can be a more efficient mentor, role model, and practitioner for you guys, right? I could give, when I'm at my best, I can give you the best of my best. So once I admitted I had this problem, right? I noticed there was so many different benefits to admitting that I had a problem. For example, I said one of them already, admitting that I had other self-sabotaging issues such as ED. Also, it made me be more financially savvy. The money I was putting into buying all these things became money I started putting back into my savings. Once I started doing that, I finally had the money to move into this house. Okay. I had more money to invest into my business, aka the spiritual botanica, extending my services, getting a scheduling link so it makes it easier for the client to schedule their appointments, so on and so forth. Okay. It gave me more time to make content on my channel. It helped me to get out my comfort zone and make less content about consumption and try to go into different areas, right? And talk about things that I'm more passionate about. So it benefited my viewers. It benefited me financially. It gave me more time to spend with my family because I wasn't consumed in the addictive behavior of me always having to watch an unboxing. Um, it made for a better home environment because my kids weren't resentful because, like, mom, can you please with the decks already? Like, well, are you gonna spend some time with us or are you gonna be unboxing 20,000 decks up in here? And it made a better environment because my house wasn't cluttery. It made a better environment because I didn't need a storage facility just to store my decks. I had a feeling of less guilt. It made me feel better about myself. Okay, so it helped me to be more clear minded. Okay, so and it made me feel less guilty about the content that I was putting out to my audience, right? I felt like I was living more of an example for my clients, right? Because I do strive to be the best version of myself for you guys and my children and my family and my spirit. It gave me more time to spend with my spirits as well, right? The less I was consuming that, the more time I had to dedicate, and the growth that I made after I stopped that behavior has been like, there's no words for it. Like, I'm a stronger practitioner now than I even was at the beginning, right? I have such a richer relationship with my spirit. Now, everybody's journey to healing from overconsumption is going to be different. For me, I don't participate because a lot of people have used this technique, but again, your experience is different than other people's. So, for example, why some people did a deaf year, a deaf year, not a deaf year, um, or a low buy year, that doesn't work for me. And I'm going to tell you why. I've had to rebuy a lot of my Rider Waite Smith decks and some of my most used Oracle decks because they become beat up over time where I can't even shuffle them and they literally go into pieces and I get tired of taping them together. I remember doing a reading with a client back in the days where I'm holding up one of my Right Away Smith decks, and the card literally bent backwards, and we were cracking up because it literally, like, once I put the card down, it split in two. Like, the tape wasn't taping anymore, and I had to get another copy of that deck, right? So I'm going to have to buy decks to replace the decks that I use. There are literally 12 decks that are different variants of Rider Waite that I highly use throughout all these years. And I've had to replace them over the years. Where some people can have the same deck for 20 years, I do so many readings. I read 40 hours plus a week. So when I say that I read full time, I really do. Especially now that my kids are older, you guys are going to notice I'm more available than I was before because I'm able to put in a nice full 40, 45-hour work week. And that's going to put a toll on your cards when you're reading back to back. And the way that I shuffle the cards, I don't have time to be pretty with it. I do time readings, I do live readings, right? So that's going to take a toll on my oracle cards and my tarot cards. So me having a low buy year is not going to be realistic for me, being that I'm a full-time spiritualist and that's how I make my money. Also, when you are a spiritualist and you have a spiritual based business, the things that you buy for your business, you can get some of it back through, tax write-offs and stuff, because I have to pay into my taxes. I don't get a refund. So these are things that I need for my business to run a business. So it's for tax purposes and for running of my business. So I can't have a low buy year. I do use crystals to heal people. Okay. So I buy purposefully things that I know I need to have for my business. I need candles, I need herbs. I use those for spell casting. And now that I'm doing spell kits and stuff, I even need those items more. When the pandemic happened, I wasn't worried about being low stock because I like to keep my shop, I like to keep my tools, at a good number. When things start to run low, I replace. So when they were having shortages, I was still able to put out spell work and all of these things because I already had my supplies there. You know what I mean? So I cannot have a deaf year because it literally is my brand and my business. I need it. Not the way I was shopping before for no reason, but things that I'm actually using, I need to buy those things. So that's why a low buy year would not work for me. I need these tools in order to conduct my business. But if you're someone who's like, I only practice for myself, then that's something that could be realistic for you. Or if you even have a business but you don't use as many tools as I do, that works for you. So again, it varies little by little. So you don't have to participate and I'm never going to buy anything or I'm going to have a low buy year if it's something that doesn't work with your lifestyle, right? I mean, you know what I mean? So yeah, it could just be something as simple as just being more conscious of what you're buying. Okay. So that's why I don't participate in the deaf year. That would just not work for me. So in conclusion to this video, okay, this is a personal, just like your spiritual path is personal. Like I always tell people, your spiritual practice is your own and it's personal. You have your own ethics and morals to it. That's the same thing I'm going to say about this topic. Okay. Just because you have a lot of spiritual things doesn't mean you have the same issue as me. If that stuff really does make you happy, you're paying your bills, you're paying your rent, then you're fine, right? If you're fine, you're fine. But if the stuff that you're watching on social media is making you have this urgent, almost emergency, panicky feeling of you have to have it, if you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, if this, consumption content is making you feel inadequate, if it's making you feel bad about your financial condition, if it's making you feel like your practice is less than, then maybe, there are steps that you can take to help yourself. Maybe it means watching less of this content. Maybe it means, just coming into the acceptance that your practice is going to look different, realizing that these people may have taken years to get all that stuff, or maybe the person who's making that content also has the same issues. And we don't know what an influencer goes on in their life behind closed doors, honestly. Just because they're smiling don't mean they're happy. So we don't really know about that person's life. So you have to do what's right for you. I knew I had a problem, like I said before, because, okay, of the fact that it was taking over my life, the fact that it was taking financial hit, the fact that it was impeding on my family time, the fact that I was questioning my calling. And again, I always want to be the best version of myself. Okay, so that really concludes my video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know that you watched this whole video by putting a purple heart in the comment section, okay? Those of you that participate in this, I have a little thing I want to tell you, okay? I am going to be doing a giveaway, okay? Um, I'm gonna be doing a giveaway for those of you that start participating in watching my videos, subscribing to my videos, and also letting me know you watched the whole video by sending out every so often and every couple of videos. I'm going to tell you a secret thing. So don't share the emoji I'm saying. Don't let somebody win your prize if you're the one that's actually watching the video. Okay. You can literally put a heart video and then make like a mundane type of comment like great video or that's cool. And you know what I'm saying? So that way nobody gets the hint of like why there's a purple heart in there. You know, make it less obvious. But yes, and everybody who does that, I will enter you in a raffle. Also share this, thumbs up this. Thank you so much for my last video that I made. I am so happy about the response. I feel like we're gonna get me out of the shadow band, the YouTube jail, if you will. So let's keep raising the algorithm so that more and more people could get recommended my content. And it was nice to know that a lot of you that left years ago because they thought I stopped making content found my recent video and were able to watch and know that I was still existing. So again, please like, please subscribe, please comment below, and let's have a conversation. Do you feel or have you ever felt that like as much as you like social media that the razzle dazzle or the physical things have gotten in the way of your practice? Let's have an honest conversation about that. I know that it did for me. So I'm not in that place, haven't been in that place for years, but it did affect me. Much love, much light, much blessings. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. And until the next video, bye.